By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to a post-Christmas The Hog Style. Happy holidays to all of you. I hope you got something you liked in your stocking or under your tree. But we have a commercial to play so that we can put stuff under our tree. So we'll be right back.
Support for the Hog Style comes from Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Ready or not, the holidays are here. Still struggling to come up with the perfect gift for that special someone in your life? The answer is Manscaped. The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0 is the perfect gift this holiday season. It includes the Lawnmower 2.0 trimmer, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing deodorant, and the Crop Reviver toner spray, which is infused with cooling aloe vera to keep you from sweating, sticking, and smelling. Trust me, she will love the manly scent of these products. It even comes with a pair of Manscaped boxer briefs to keep you feeling fresh all day long. Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their new Lawnmower 2.0 has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to prevent nicks and snags, has a rechargeable battery, and it's waterproof so you can use it in the shower. Stop using the same trimmer down below that you use on your face. So what are you waiting for? Head over to manscaped.com now and get 20% off your order
we are
and
back
free
to the
shipping
show.
by using the
It's
code
Alex with
BIGHEADS.
ya.
That's
I'm assuming
20%
Sean
off
is with his
with
family,
free shipping at
doing the Christmas thing.
manscaped.com.
I
Promo
got Stephen
code
Jamal with me
BIGHEADS.
here, though. So, guys, I hope you had a good Christmas.
Absolutely, yeah. Christmas is always a good time. You know, it's my favorite holiday, Alex.
Yes. We've had this debate where I'm a Thanksgiving guy, you're a Christmas guy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what mine is. I would like to say Thanksgiving because it falls around my birthday, but the Christmas wasn't bad this year. I was able to get my folks some presents, some technology stuff. Hopefully, they won't have to call me every day to figure out how to use the Fire Stick and the sound bar.
Jamal, they will. I've been in that
look,
shoe.
You're
going to get a lot of calls.
I know, but I just hope they're able to enjoy it. These are one of the few times that I'm able to afford it, plainly speaking. So yeah, I had myself a good Christmas. They enjoyed it.
Well, what about you? You guys get any good gifts? One favorite before we get into this Redskins final game of the year?
Oh, I got a favorite one.
Okay.
I was given a print of Kobe Bryant's favorite, most famous last-second buzzer-beating shot over Dwayne Wade, which is hanging on my wall as we speak.
Is that the sideways three-pointer?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, for me, I was just filling out my housewarming list. I had a wish list on Amazon, so my folks helped me out with that. Because, I got a lot of gifts in between the time I graduated up until this point, so I think I graduated December. Oh, wow. December 14th. It's been a while now that I think about it. So, yeah, I had a lot of gifts from then until now. So, nothing in particular that was special, but I've gotten a lot of gifds. So,
Jamal, you haven't gone more than like 10 days without some kind of major celebration, basically.
It's crazy. I had a graduation celebration and a housewarming on the same day.
And your birthday. And Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yes. And then we had the holiday yesterday.
Right.
So it's been a lot. It's unusual on my perspective. I don't really do the celebrating. But my folks want to make. Of course I did it for them, but it's unusual on my end. But it's been a lot these past few weeks.
I'd just like to congratulate you on graduating, you getting your master's degree, man. And for those of you who don't know this guy, and most of you don't, you have no idea what he's been through logistically and everything to do what he's done, and it's very impressive. Jamal's not the type of guy that's going to talk about himself too much, but he is worthy of praise for getting his master's degree.
Jamal's been busting his butt on that and getting his house and growing up really fast this last year.
Yes, I have. I appreciate it, fellas. One thing I will say, if you're listening, and I've met some people along the way during this process who said they've, well, quite frankly, they said, I've kept them motivated in their pursuit for a master's. And the one thing I will say is, do not just trust me. Even though you may want to find out for yourself, do not work full time. Do not go to school full time, and do not look for a house all at the same time while you're doing all those three. Just do not focus on one thing and then go knock the other thing down, because I had no clue what I was getting into. And if you can manage the stress, okay, but there is hardly any way, there is no way you can just casually just get through that and nothing faces you.
If anybody's ever wondered why Jamal hasn't been on a few of these shows, this is why.
Yeah. Jamal's missed a couple shows, and that's fine.
More than a couple. And
life. We've always said life should come first.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, y'all been understanding. So yeah, just take my advice. If y'all are listening and y'all are going through something similar, you're interested in a few things, just try to focus on one thing or two things at a time, but not three. Don't do it.
Two is the max.
Yeah, when I did my master's degree, I did it part-time, and so it was a lot easier than what you did.
Yeah, and they gave me that option, but I refused it. I refused to just. I needed the money, quite frankly. So I decided to work full-time. But I was never going to stop doing school full-time. But they gave me the option to, you could take off if you need to, but I didn't.
And I didn't do a master's because I think if you get a master's degree in video production, you're an idiot. So,
well, see, knowing that you're in the position that you're at with you got in at a pretty good time. You have nothing to worry about.
Well, we'll see. Maybe 20 years down the road, I'll regret it. But I got offered at one point to go to law school. And I was like, no, not good. Law school.
I would imagine you're in good shape though.
I'm fine. I'm not worried right now.
Yeah, see.
When I get to be an old man, that's when I worry.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's talk about the team we've all been worrying about all year. Why don't we change subjects and jump into this?
The Redskins.
Yes, the Redskins. Right, that's the team. So because it's the last week of the season and we have a game against the Cowboys, we don't really want to focus on that too much because we know this game is meaningless. Instead, it's time to start talking about the rumor mills. There's a couple things that have gone on. Let's start with the quick and dirty. A lot of guys went to IR, including our star rookie quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, done for the year. Had a good couple of games to finish out the season, I thought. But yeah, he's on IR now, Steve, and I'm sure we have a couple others, right?
Yeah, okay. So injury report, let's just run through this real fast, run through injury and rosters and whatnot. The DNPs for both Wednesday and Thursday this week are Landon Collins, Dwayne Haskins, Terry McLaurin, Fabian Moreau, Monte Nicholson. Adrian Peterson had his usual day off, listed as having a toe injury, but that dude is a robot and he's never going to sit out.
Right.
So that's that. And then you had Troy Apke limited, Morgan Moses limited. On the Dallas Cowboys side, very important, Dak Prescott has a throwing shoulder injury and has not practiced all week. So we'll see if Dak plays or if something called Cooper Rush plays.
Oh, I remember Cooper Rush.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. But we'll get to that. But in terms of roster moves and whatnot, Quentin Dunbar, IR. Jimmy Moreland, IR. Yep. Fabian Moreau is probably not going to play. They have signed a bunch of absolute nobodies.
Right. So whoever plays for Dallas.
This is the truth tankathon. That's what it is. This is the truth tankathon. This is where you find out that they really don't care about winning games. They want to make sure everybody's healthy going into next year. They'll sign people off the street just to make sure that they don't know what the hell they're doing when they step on the field.
Right. Right.
Yeah, if you want to know who Breon Borders, who I've never heard of, let's see, Kayvon Webster, Corey Sensenbaugh we saw last week. Who else do we have here? Here he is, D. Delaney, who I believe came from the Jacksonville practice squad. Either Borders or Delaney, one of the two of those guys came from the Jacksonville practice squad. Can't remember. So the idea that we're going to have even a mildly experienced secondary this week is
laughable.
Yeah, pushing it, to a great degree. Yeah. Oh, Danny Johnson, IR. That was the other one.
So right. So
Dunbar and Johnson, IR.
Even our backup plan is hurt.
Yeah. So basically, at the beginning of the season, we had Josh Norman.
That man played 2 games.
Yeah.
We had Josh Norman, Fabian Moreau, and Quentin Dunbar were our starting groups. Norman's on the bench for reasons we've beat to death. Quentin Dunbar IR. Moreau is down for the count, probably. Moreland IR. So right. Even like Jamal said, Denny Johnson came back and played 2 games. He's gone again. So we could be, especially if Fabian Moreau doesn't play, we could be looking at some combination of Breon Borders, Aaron Colvin, D. Delaney, Corey Sensenbaugh, and Kayvon Webster to go up against Amari Cooper. But we'll get there.
And this is not something I planned on mentioning, but one thing that's kind of wild to think about when it comes to signing guys at this point in the year, those guys who got signed by the XFL, their XFL contracts say they can't jump ship to the NFL.
No, it says the opposite. It says they can jump ship.
No, no, that was the AAF where they could.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. My mistake. Yeah, you're right.
So that even narrows down the pool a little bit more, which is kind of messed up if you think about it.
Look, all they need to do is get through one game. I know.
Yep.
It's just a bunch of guys.
Yeah, I was going to say good luck because, truth be told, there's going to be a lot of people that when the game comes on Sunday, we're going to be like, all right, who the hell is this guy?
Right.
And it's that time of the year when your team's not good. Like your last few weeks, you're going to be asking that question a lot. I know, and I truthfully told you all, like, I think it was the week against the Panthers. The people who was getting in the backfield, the defenders that we had, Orchard, Nate Orchard, and then another guy,
Chris Odom.
Chris Odom. Like, to this point, I still don't know who they are, and I refuse to look it up just off the strength of me being lazy and knowing that something is going to drastically change in the offseason. I'm just being honest. It's that time of the year. It's only a few people that I'm paying attention to. So unfortunately, I know that there, like, some people have been playing well in this period, but that's what we're at. And this last week is going to be no different for a lot of people.
Yeah, if anybody's wondering, by the way, it's 21 is the IR count right now. If anybody's wondering,
which is not that bad compared to previous IR counts.
Well, it's about in the ballpark though.
It's in but not quite there.
I think it get up their reputation. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Anytime you get up above 20, it's it's bad.
When the season's over, all they're going to look at is the numbers and statistics and say these guys don't know what the hell they're doing. Right. Truth be told, like half those guys probably could play if it was something meaningful.
Sure. I think that we're just shutting guys down. But speaking of the guys we shut down, the big one probably is Haskins, because if this game meant anything, I think they would have tried to push him through it. I know he's got a pretty serious sprain, but
he's got a high ankle sprain. I don't know, man. That's if it was a Super Bowl, sure, but I wouldn't want to play him with a high ankle.
You don't think if we were playing for a playoff spot, they wouldn't try it?
Not with a high ankle sprain. That's tough.
I think it's the high ankle sprain. That's the toughest ones to recover.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
well,
like a few weeks now. I think about it.
Haskins is a pretty tough guy. He might himself try to push through it, but I don't know if I would rather lose a playoff game than have him break his ankle.
Well, that's true. I guess I'd agree there. But Steve, you did do a poll about Haskins since his year is done. I mean, we're just talking hypotheticals there anyway.
Yeah.
But why don't we go over your poll and talk about that for a second?
All right, now I got to apologize for this poll because I probably unintentionally skewed the voting by listing in the tweet what my vote was. That was a mistake. But regardless, here's the poll. Haskins' rookie year is over. He completed 119 of 203 passes for a 58.6% completion percentage, 1,365 yards, 1,365 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, quarterback rating of 76.1. Worst start was Detroit. His last 2 versus Philly and the Giants were better. What grade would you give him? A, B, C, or D? I eliminated F because you can only do 4 on Twitter, and if you give him an F, you're just a hater. So he didn't deserve an F. So A, B, C, or D. And again, I put in this tweet that I was going to grade him a B, which I shouldn't have done that. It probably skewed some votes. But understanding that, Alex and Jamal, what do you think? What would you vote for, and what do you think the fans vote for?
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the C plus range, so I guess I'd say C.
Okay.
Off that, but the last 2 games really looks a lot better. He's starting to look like an NFL quarterback, so that takes it from being, oh my God, we need to draft somebody to, all right, let's give this kid a shot for another year or two.
What do you think the fans would have voted for, though?
I'm going to guess the fans are probably in the CB range. People are, moderate. So,
Right. Jamal?
Actually, mine is in the same as Alex. I think I would have gave it a C plus. So I would say a C on the poll. More so because how he started, but how he finished gave him that added boost. Because like I said, if I would have gave him like a specific grade, it'd be a C plus. So he was pushing that B range. I think the fans, I said Vans for whatever reason. Fans voted him as a B, which is fair in a sense, but a little bit more optimistic, given that like recency bias would tell you like what he was at the end of his season. They would say, all right, well, this is who he is, and this is like how he played throughout the whole season. Well, no, you got to take everything into account. But I think they voted him as a B.
Okay. Yeah, and again, it's also skewed by the fact that I said Steve, was voting for a B in this, in the tweet, which I shouldn't have done. But yeah, so the leading vote getter was a B with 51%, C was 41%, D was 5%, and a mere 3 of you voted A. I don't know how you get to A, with this. I think recency bias, as Jamal said, definitely. Me, from myself, like I said, I would have voted for him a straight B, not a B plus, not a B minus, a B. I thought the reason is I thought he made a ton of progress, and he got a lot better, compared to where he started. So that's why I'd give him a B. In terms of comments, we got a lot of comments.
Let's hear a few, at least.
Yeah, we'll hear a few. Martin Collinson, who's a frequent commenter, he graded him a C. It says C, but trending up very strongly. Was badly handled from the start, and the progress since the keys were handed to him is exciting. Gut Lead 74, who's another guy who's out there a lot on Twitter. C, but trending up, in my opinion. Exciting to see him grow. Tommy, who is at Tom110571, says I would give him a D minus because we're losing these games. We need to win. That's a bit harsh, Tommy, but that's your opinion. Our buddy Rick Rogers, formerly of It's Just Business, he writes, I gave him a C based on his completion percentage, but I'm encouraged. That's fair enough. Mm-hmm. Here's another D. There's a lot of D votes in here. The people who voted D feel strongly about it.
It's Twitter, Steve.
Yeah,
it's land of hate.
Twitter is not reality. Diesel the dog says, I gave him a D. I saw progression, but he mostly stunk up the joint. He almost got a C, which is frankly probably fair in terms of that. Let's see if anybody has anything interesting here. Because the sort of the trend in the comments was optimism, progress, B or C.
Right.
Okay,
and
last
then,
one
and
here.
then people being like, I hate the world.
Yeah,
burn it all.
Yeah, like Tommy. Tommy hates the world.
Tommy,
last one here.
Tommy, find something to love.
Trey 007. All things considered, a very low B. The stats don't tell the whole story. Saw progress each week, and he was balling before he got hurt this past week. And that's kind of where I am.
I think that's completely reasonable. I think we're all around there, all three of us. It's a very reasonable place to be.
Yeah.
Thanks
to everybody who voted. We got a ton of participation. Thanks to everybody who voted.
Yes, participation trophies all around. Good job. All right, let's move on to our next topic because we went longer on that than I thought. Next topic we have was the rumor mill, which is heating up for the Redskins coaching search.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so the big rumor today, which seems to be unsubstantiated, was people are starting to get on the Urban Meyer train, thinking that he's going to be the next Redskins head coach, and thinking that he's going to fire Doug Williams and maybe fire Bruce Allen. Who knows? That's not as clear. It sounds like that rumor was unsubstantiated, but we kind of want to talk about it anyway because, I think we all are kind of getting ready for the Redskins coaching search.
Yeah, okay, so here's the genesis of the rumor. This started with a Twitter account at the Sports Groove who goes by 50 Shades MG. I've never heard of him. Claims to have formerly been with ESPN Radio, 106.7 The Fan. This guy was on the Team 980 this morning, meaning Thursday morning, talking about this with Chick Hernandez or somebody. So here's what he wrote, quote, source, : We'll fire the entire coaching staff Monday and name Urban Meyer coach. Expect a front office shakeup too, with a change in director of player personnel with a promotion from within. Alex Smith moving to front office. Decision made in Bahamas by Snyder. That is the source, the originating source of all these rumors that have been floating around about Urban Meyer. So,
Right. So
I have a ton of thoughts.
Yeah.
What are your
Yeah, I
thoughts?
just do.
My first thought is I don't really trust guys like that on Twitter who, like, if, and I hate to say this, you don't even have a blue check mark guy. So maybe just calm down with your I have sources reaction. We've been burned by people like this so much as just nobodies.
Yeah.
We've had people come to us sometimes like, I heard this, and
Most of which we don't say on the air for a reason.
we do not, because most of the time we find it's wrong.
Yeah.
Also, I just hate the move of Urban Meyer so much. It's not going to work if that's who they go with.
I did ask around about this guy today, from the people we know, and I couldn't find anybody who knows him, but I did find somebody who said people have vouched for him to this person, meaning secondhand vouching. And what the guy told me was, don't bank on it, but don't rule it out. The interesting part about this is that apparently the Bahamas thing is interesting because that's where Danny decided to fire Vinny and hire Bruce.
So here's the thing that I have on it. Is you bring up an interesting point. Don't bank on it, but don't rule it out.
That's what somebody told me. That's
what
which
they
means
told
do
you.
anything.
And they're just saying don't completely disregard them, because it's like they're trying to leave it give him the benefit of the doubt, and that's fair because oftentimes people on Twitter, they do have some knowledge of things. They can very well know people, but that don't mean that, and they can very well report what they hear, and that's very fair to them to do that. It may be irresponsible on their end, depending on who they talk to. Like, they may know that person, for example, and I'm not saying that this guy is, this is who he heard it from, but they may have heard it from an associate or an administrative person in the Redskins organization or something like that, and they may know some people in there, and they'll just repeat what they say and call it a source. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was responsible for them to repeat what they said, because how do you know that they really know anything in the whole I guess what's the word, the front office or the staff side of the actual football operations? You don't really know that. So with that being said, I give him the benefit of the doubt because he may very well know people, and that's fair, and he may be reporting what he heard. The second thing is, I have a lot of skepticism with things that people say nowadays, and I've been being skeptical for a while. With what a lot of people say in general when it comes to the Redskins, the first thing that you got to pay attention to when he says this is he feels like the staff is going to get fired on Monday. Okay, well, he can very well be right. It's also Black Monday. So what does that say when somebody gets fired on a Monday that all coaches usually get fired on?
Right, 99% chance they will.
Yes, so you're not really breaking no news there. However, it does help you out in terms of gaining credibility for the people who does not think hard enough. Mm-hmm. Okay, so because he gets right on the Monday part, all of a sudden he becomes credible in their eyes. Well, I mean, okay, I'll give you that. Even though, for a person who is really thinking hard enough, you need something more than that. The other two things that I have an issue with is convenience reporting. I don't know a better term for it. I can't tell you, but I just call it convenience reporting because Urban Meyer and Alex Smith has been linked to the front office and coaching positions ever since whenever Alex Smith report came out a week or two ago, I don't really remember. And then when Urban Meyer was in the booth with Dan Snyder against the
Giants,
Eagles, the home game against the Eagles. So when you see those two things, what's very convenient to report? You're mentioning Urban Meyer and you're mentioning Alex Smith having some role in the future when it comes to football operations. So all you have to do is bank on a couple of those things. You don't have to be right on everything, but banking on the fact that players getting fired on Monday, that's one thing. And then Alex Smith having some role in the front office. You don't even have to be right on that. Like, all you need is one thing to be right, and somebody will take you a little bit more serious than what they was beforehand. And then lastly, I know I'm talking a lot, but it just has a lot of things that connects to it. The guy, Ben Albright, he refuted this report today. He said that
quickly too.
Yeah, and he said that it was totally false. The reason why he will refute that, because, and this is why everybody should just stay where they are and just wait to see, because everybody's trying to get your hopes up. They're trying to buy you in on and choosing a side when nobody really knows anything. Albright tells you that these reports are false because he's already said that Urban Meyer will probably consult on the head coaching position. Because if he was to agree in any aspect with the guy who reported that Urban Meyer will be head coach, it contradicts his reporting. Mm-hmm. So if he gets contradicted in his reporting, then that means he's probably the guy who's not credible. So he's going to go out and deny that report, and he's going to stick to his guns because either one is going to be right and the other one's going to be wrong. So He's going to stick to his guns before something out of left field comes about, and then either one of them will have an excuse. But either way, right now it's just wait and see mode for me because a lot of these things do not make sense.
Well, and I want to talk to the larger thing about the whole rumor mill, like a source tells me thing, because something you said there kind of just spurred a memory of mine. We've all worked in big office buildings before where you hear something in the lunchroom or wherever and you're like, oh, well, that's a tidbit of information. Like, I'll give it a broad example. I heard early this year that my boss was going to quit in February. Guess what? My boss is still there. It's been a couple months. And I don't mean, last February, so, sometimes you hear a rumor, and some people in the Redskins front office, I'm sure, are hearing these rumors that, Urban's going to come in or Bruce, and they go out and tell somebody, and it's just wrong.
Well, yeah, it's like a game of telephone.
Right.
By the message at the end is not the same as the message up front. Look, I mean, none of us know who this guy is at all.
No.
Like I said, I did find somebody who said that he knew people who knew him. Take it for what you will. I think what Jamal said makes sense in that, you can kind of tell sometimes when guys are totally full of nonsense and it's just total, complete garbage.
Yes.
This guy probably did have somebody tell him something, because he is in the media to a certain extent. But as Jamal said, that doesn't mean it's right. He could have heard it from the janitor. Who knows? So take it for what you. The larger question is, do we even want Urban Meyer? I'm a decided no. I just don't like Urban Meyer.
Yeah,
I don't like the fact that he covered up spousal abuse with one of his assistant coaches last year. That's really why he quit. I don't like the fact that he's retired twice for health reasons. If he thinks college is stressful, how on earth is he going to live through the NFL, particularly being simultaneously the GM and the head coach? Mm-hmm. And he had serious health problems. So there's been other things at Ohio State that were a bit sleazy, I thought. So I'm not a huge fan, and I'm skeptical anyway of college coaches coming to NFL as kind of a general rule. It's just different. It's completely different, and I don't like I don't think you can handle pros in the same way you can handle college kids. College sports, college football at a high level is more about recruiting. That's not how the NFL works. So I'm just skeptical of the whole thing. That having been said, would it be better than having Bruce in charge of football? Probably, but I can think of a lot better solutions.
Yeah, I've got a lot of the same problems, and I can add in, I don't think his scheme is, or whatever. I don't know if he could run an NFL scheme.
Well, now coaches, some real coaches out there who I communicate with think Urban knows a hell of a lot about football. They vouch for his football knowledge. Put that way.
I don't doubt that. But the offenses he's running in colleges are mostly these, Tim Tebow style offenses. So that's what I would.
Yeah, but he's shown somewhat the ability to adapt.
That's true.
Based on quarterback style is what I should say. Like Dwayne Haskins just was one of the most unique prospects that he's had before, in a sense that he's always, like you just said, he's always had that Tebow type of quarterback. And then Alex Smith, I can't remember. I was too young to really focus on Alex Smith back then.
Well, but he's at Utah. No one was focusing on him.
Well, okay. Well, he did enough to get the first round, the first quarterback selected. So, yeah. Well, I guess I will defer to you all. I'll put it that way. I would defer to you all if you all were looking at Utah and Alex Smith back then. But I only say this to say, I kind of agree with you all in the sense that he's not the ideal candidate for me. Now, I came across a couple of comments today that they were all ecstatic for the possibility of Urban Meyer. And they're like disregarding the fact that, he's had all these issues that Steve spoke on. And they're like, all right, well, I don't care if we could get 5 years out of him. That's good enough for me. Well, guess what? It's out of coming from a place of desperation in the sense that if you want to be a respected NFL organization, if you want to be someone if you want to change the image and become a model or become that model organization again, you have to understand where longevity and where consistency begins. If you want Urban Meyer, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to start with Urban. If you want a head coach to come here and be successful, you cannot ask for a coach just for 5 years. You can't do that, and there's no guarantee that he will even last 5 years, given his recent history and his health issues. You can't ask that, and you can't expect him to be here for 5 years. So if you were to ask a head coach to come here for 5 years and then leave, and then expect another head coach to come here and just replace him and repeat the same success, if not do better, then what do you like? You understand how difficult it is to win in the NFL? So why would you want a coach to even come in and only do 5 years? You need to project how this person will impact your franchise, how this person will impact your players, how this person will impact the possibility of recruiting free agents to come to your team and developing and drafting younger guys. And if you're going to ask a head coach to come here and do that, you need to see futures, for example, like Kyle Shanahan and like John Gruden, who has a longer leash and not just no 5-year project. Because if you shorten the time on a coach for 5 years and see what he can do in that time, it's not going to come out. It's not going to turn out well. And you need to start from the top and understand that you need to give these guys time. And 5 years is a fair amount of time. But at the same time, when you're dealing with a guy with health issues, that thing can cut short quicker than 5 years. And now you're asking for another coach after you just went through this turmoil of the season and Jay Gruden era that you already went through. Like it's not the same.
I mean, I'll tell you where Urban Meyer does make sense in that, obviously we all know the Redskins needs major front office changes. Whether or not Bruce Allen gets fired, I think I'd rather put my head in a sausage grinder than talk about that more, frankly at this point. But the team, no young coach is going to come in here and do well if the front office structure stays the same.
True.
We've seen this over and over and over again. So where a guy like Urban Meyer might be good, as in sort of kind of a general sense, is you have a guy with that much clout that can at least stand up to the stupidity of the front office and run everything himself. Maybe will strike, lightning will strike and do well. That having been said, we just saw this with Mike Shanahan a few years ago, and that failed spectacularly. So, I don't know. I mean, I tend to think the only coach that could succeed is a Mike Shanahan / Urban Meyer type, but just the culture here is so toxic that nothing may work unless something changes.
Right, and
that's
if you're
the
going
problem.
with that by default, you're not talking about a guy who can stay here for 10 years.
Yeah, well, it's like, Eric Bieniemy has been kicked around amongst the fans, and that's I don't have anything against Eric. I don't have anything. Look, I don't have anything against him, but he's a young guy who's going to have no clout, no positional authority whatsoever. He's going to be dictated to.
I think he's in his 50s. Isn't he?
He's a new head coach.
He a first-time head coach.
Yeah, he's not going to have any clout, any positional authority whatsoever. It's going to be Jay Gruden Part 2. In terms of that, and that's just never going to work in Washington because of the owner and the team president.
Yeah, I think we all can agree to that. All right, let's focus on our last topic. We got to kind of make this one a little quick, guys. Steve, you put out a tweet that apparently people went nuts about.
Oh yeah.
That is that if the Redskins lose to the Cowboys, this team will go into the next season with a 500 all-time record.
Yep.
We had initially talked about doing a special T-shirt for when the team goes to sub 500 for the first time.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll do give me the number again. What is it? It's 603 and 603.
Right now we're 603, 602, and 28.
Right.
And so if they lose to Dallas, it'd be 603, 603, and 28. Yes.
Right. So maybe we'll do a 603, 603, 28 T-shirt or something.
Now, just in case anybody was wondering out there, because I'm just nerdy enough about stats stuff, I did go back and figure out the Redskins' record before Dan Snyder came to be, and the Redskins were 461, 410, and 27 up until 1998.
461, 410, and 27.
Yeah, which is a 531 winning. A 513 winning percentage.
Not great, but good.
Well, they had decades of awful.
Right. You got to remember we sucked in the 50s and 60s.
The franchise really sucked at all times, other than a few years under George Allen and then Joe Gibbs.
Well, no, they crushed it early on under.
For 30s and 40s. Years. Yeah. Dan Snyder is 142, 191, and 1. So there you go. We got.
Wait, say that again.
142, 192, and 1.
Oh my gosh.
424 winning percentage. I put this out on Twitter and it went crazy and went kind of viral. And there's way too many comments here to go through. But suffice to say that people are horrified by that, as they should be.
I'm assuming no one was defending this. No. This was not a, hey, everybody, let's have a debate about this.
It's not that bad.
No.
Come on.
He's trying his best, guys.
But to wrap this up, because we do need to get to Dallas.
All right.
I think the Urban Meyer thing, who knows? We can't really vouch for that guy, but there's some modicum of sense to it, so take it for what you will. For me, I think the Redskins will have to have somebody like that to have any shot at success, but not Urban Meyer in particular, because I think he's kind of sleazy, frankly.
Yeah, I think, okay, if you're going to jump back to that topic, sure. Let's jump forward, though.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I did. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
You went back.
I didn't mean to go quite back that far, but this is what happens when you're doing live shows.
All right, let's talk about this game. Last game of the year versus the Cowboys in Dallas. We don't really need to debate should we just lose, because we probably will anyway, but they should try to win. Y'all
know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also understand why people are on the other side. Let's talk about the Dallas offense, because you mentioned something interesting in the beginning, and that is that Cooper Rush, who came out a year ago?
No, 3. He's 2017.
It's been that long already. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he just has 26 snaps to his entire career. He's 1 for 3 for 3 yards and 26 snaps. But
I remember when he came out, because we were desperate for a quarterback, of course, and I remember looking at him and being like, well, he's got a great quarterback name, Cooper Rush. Like a name like that, he should be able to throw the ball, outside the stadium. So.
Look, I mean, Prescott
this week for the Cowboys.
Prescott had the same injury last week and ended up playing.
Right.
And implied in the media that he took a painkiller shot and that's how he got through the game. So as of when we are recording this, we truly do not know whether or not
how did
Prescott
they do last week?
They looked awful.
Right. So maybe taking a cortisone shot or a numbing shot in your throwing arm is not a great plan.
Dallas
you need to do something, because it was terrible. It was terrible last week. So find something that works.
The Dallas offense is a bit of an enigma to me. When you look at their numbers and whatnot, they have talent. They run up yardage. They run up points. They're number 1 in the NFL in total yardage. By the way, if we didn't know this, number 1 in yardage, number 1 in yardage per game, yards per play, number 2 in passing yards. Number 8 in rushing yards, which is surprising it's even that low. They're number 1 in sacks, meaning the least number of sacks in the NFL. They're great in third downs. If you just look at them on paper, you would think this would be a championship caliber team. They don't have any huge weaknesses. They don't have a ton of turnovers. They've got talent.
They've got great receivers.
With Dallas, it's coaching and just brain farts by these guys. That's the problem, is they're not disciplined. The coach isn't very good, and the season's just gone sideways on them.
Yep.
But if they really put it together, which they may or may not, because they're hit or miss, if they really put together, they're going to just whitewash the Redskins.
Yeah, well, that's true. Now, this game was flexed being later this week, right?
Yeah, the reason is, it was a 1 o'clock game
4:25.
originally. Yeah, it's 4:25 because if the Giants beat the Eagles, then this becomes Dallas's chance to win the NFC East. And so it's the national game on Fox, the national late game, I should say, on Fox.
Right, and the irony of that is if the Eagles beat the Giants, which, let's be honest, more likely, this game is utterly meaningless.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But I think Fox is taking a gamble because the Giants look better. They look good against the Redskins. That's not saying much. But so back to Dallas. Here's what I think if you really want to know about this game. If you assume Dak Prescott plays, don't assume that. If Dak Prescott plays, if you looked at the offense last year and the year before, it was really an Ezekiel Elliott-centric offense. Everything ran through him. Mm-hmm. It's not really the case anymore.
No, it's not.
It runs through Prescott now. He's second in the NFL in yardage. Before he was kind of a check down Charlie at all times. He's gotten away from that a little bit. He's just gotten a lot better, than he was. I don't know if he's worth $100 and something million contract, because he's certainly not
$40 million a year, whatever they're talking
about. Yeah, he's certainly not Drew Brees. But it's more than just stop Elliott, stop the Cowboys. It's the Redskins have to go against type here, and what they need to do is they need to stop playing the soft zone, figure out how to stop the underneath passing, and take away Elliott, and then all you have to deal with is a bunch of nobodies guarding Amari Cooper running down the field.
Right. So the plan is to have a bunch of dudes who were, bagging groceries, moving stuff off of trucks for the Christmas sales, and rely on them to play tight man-on-man coverage. That's the plan.
One of the best receivers in the NFL.
Sure. Great play.
Am I wrong, Jamal?
I'm only because I would say he's the best route runner in the NFL. I feel like one of the one things that you got to pay attention to is like how he plays. It kind of works in his favor though, but one of the things you have to pay attention to is who he goes up against in coverage. But thankfully there are no top tier cornerbacks that Cooper's facing this week. So he has endless opportunity to put up 200 yards receiving. Unfortunately, but I don't think he's one of the best receivers in the game. And best, I mean top 5, but he's definitely in top 10. But he is the number 1 route runner in the NFL, I believe. If he's not number 1, he's number 2. But that's just me being technical. So I'm sorry.
No, that's fair enough. So I guess that's what to remember is it's not just to stop Ezekiel Elliott. I refuse to call this man Zeke because it just drives me insane.
Right. Ezekiel in Dakota. That's who I call him.
Yeah. So it's not just stop Elliott. There's a lot more to the Dallas Cowboy offense this year when it's running well. Now they could have brain farts, like I said, because they've done it a lot this year. Prescott could not play. You could see the Cooper Rush era. Even if Prescott plays, he could look like he did last week, which is not good. So the Redskins have an opportunity here to hold the score down enough to get lucky and maybe win a game. But this is one of these games where everything has to go right.
Right, and we know how that usually goes.
History says they're 2-8 against Dallas in their last 10. So history says it probably won't go well.
Right.
Absolutely.
And Dallas is preparing like they have everything to play for. The Redskins are putting everybody on IR. So
you know what though, the players. I wanted to mention this. I've been impressed with the Redskins players in the past few weeks. They don't look like they've quit. I think Bill Callahan has done a good job in motivating him and deserves credit for that. They could have surrendered a long time ago. The season is over. We didn't even get out of September this year before the season was over. They haven't quit, and they've looked like they've tried hard, and they were genuinely upset when they lost to the Eagles and the Giants both. So I think they will come out here with an outstanding effort.
I'm sure they will, but you're putting your top 5 corners on IR basically at this point. So, there's that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to be the Breon Borders era.
Right.
That probably isn't going to go well. But I'm saying I think the team will be motivated to play well. It's kind of like, when the Washington Generals go up against the Harlem Globetrotters. the Generals are motivated, and they sometimes do well against the Globetrotters until the Globetrotters put their foot down and start actually playing real basketball.
Right.
Then it goes. That's probably a good analogy.
I think I looked this up once. There actually was one game that the Generals won,
like decades and decades and decades ago.
Right. It was like in the 1920s or something.
I've seen the Globetrotters live, and what normally happens is they fool around. For the first 3 quarters, and then the Generals will get a little close, and then the Globetrotters realize they need to actually play, and then
they put up 50 points in a quarter, right?
Yeah, and then it's over.
I actually always thought those basketball games were staged.
They're not. I sat right behind the bench.
Exactly. I watched one, and they had all the theatrics that they had during the game, and I'm like, all right, there's no way that they can possibly have not have a desired outcome of this basketball game. But let me go back to the Cowboys right quick. I do think the way that this game is going to turn out, just in general, yes, the Redskins are going to have to put on their best, put their best foot forward. But it's going to be hard to say that they can do that and still easily come. Not easily, but they can do that and still come out with a victory of any way, because you've seen what they've done against top tier teams. In a sense of comparatively speaking, like teams that's around their skill set or below, they've been able to eke out a couple wins, and it's only been 3. Like they've only had 3 wins this year, but they're able to compete. But that doesn't mean they're able to hang in there. Each of these last few games, the better teams were able to easily take control in the waning seconds of the game, or the waning minutes of the game. You have the Eagles, who were able to, I may be getting my teams mixed up, but I don't think I am. The Eagles were able to run the ball towards the end of the game, the last few possessions or last couple of possessions, and essentially just take control of the game. The Giants in overtime, even though the Redskins did lead a hell of a comeback, the Giants were able to go into overtime, and they didn't even give the Redskins a chance. They dominated the overtime possession. Ended the game just like that. You're going against teams in Dallas who's going to be comparatively the same in terms of skill set. And it's going to be hard no matter how well they play and how prepared and how ready they are. This is one of those years where, coaching and talent-wise, you just don't match. So, yes, it's going to play the perfect game, but is the perfect game even still going to be enough? And I don't think it is.
In terms of Cowboys defense,
Redskins offense, yeah.
Dallas' defense has not been as successful as their offense.
No. I mean, that's part of why they've been losing.
Yeah, I mean, either by the eye test or on paper, neither one. It's a decent defense, but they've had major failings at times. They've let bad teams play well against them. Some interesting points on their numbers. They only have 6 interceptions on the season. That's just not the way they operate. They've only have 37 sacks on the year. So they're not getting a ton of pressure on quarterbacks. They're not intercepting the ball a lot. Opposing quarterbacks have average rating of 93.8 against them, which is 20th in the NFL. So there's opportunities to pass against these guys. Their secondary isn't that good. Right. Unfortunately, Terry McLaurin is probably going to be out. I told you he was on the injury report. He's in concussion protocol.
Yeah, so
he did not practice today.
Yet. Yeah.
It's almost impossible that he's going to get cleared by Sunday. So it's going to be the Kelvin Harmon, Steven Sims show.
Hey, we could do worse.
Yeah, I mean, Kelvin Harmon is the guy that's going to have to come through. Kelvin Harmon has to come through. He's going to have to be the number 1 guy out there. Cam Sims is probably going to play a lot, would be my guess.
Yep.
But those guys, particularly Kelvin Harmon, has got to do well against what I think is a vulnerable Cowboys secondary.
Right.
If the Redskins want to win.
At least we know that our quarterback play, it's not going to be great, but you have a level there with, the quarterback we've had all year. So.
The other thing about Dallas is their special teams have been horrible all year. They're last in the NFL in kickoff returns. Their punter is ranked last in the NFL.
Right.
They're bottom middle in kick return, punt return defense. So it's not impossible to think that a guy like Steven Sims can break one.
Right.
Hey,
so if you can get lucky, make a special teams win, that we've done it before. We've
absolutely.
That in the past. All right,
and listen,
guys.
I mean, yeah, we want Dallas to lose, okay? Anybody out there, stop rooting for the Redskins to lose this game. It's Dallas, for Christ's sake. Don't worry about the draft.
Yeah, have a little pride.
Yeah.
Just a little. All right, let's focus in, and do we even want to do predictions? I assume we're all going to predict a loss, but
let's go ahead and sweep through these things.
All right, let lightning round predictions go.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Jamal. I'm still thinking.
I'll go first. I think it'll be 27-14. Cowboys win. It may be close again in the first half, but then the Cowboys pull away in the second half.
I think the Redskins are going to score a little bit more points than that. I still think, unfortunately, they're going to lose. So I'm going to say 31-27, Dallas.
31-27. All right, I think it's going to be 35-21 Redskins. I think
Redskins?
35-21 Cowboys. I don't know why I said Redskins. Just gut emotions. Can't quite say Cowboys. Here's my bold prediction. You will see coaches fired before they leave Dallas.
Oh, you think they're just going to give them a bus ticket back to D.C.?
Oh, you'll go back, but they will be told you are fired before they leave.
I mean, Bill Callahan's the interim coach, so I mean, he's not even the real coach to get fired. So that
well, no, but I mean like Greg Minuski. I think
the whole staff needs to go. I hope all.
Yeah, but I think that he'll be told you're done as soon as the game's over.
Maybe.
You know.
If anybody sees Minuski on a Greyhound bus, well, Sunday night, you'll know what happened.
Chewing on the seat or whatever he does. I don't know. All right. That should do it. We're way over our time on this one for the final game of the year. That means nothing. Guys, again, happy holidays to all you. Thank you for listening. Those of you who are still listening throughout the year. And, hey, we've grown into the off season. That's when I shine.
Well, and we'll be back. We will let you guys know, by the way, what the schedule is going to be going forward. We still haven't figured it out.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. Later, dudes.
The Seasons of Discontent is a podcast about Washington sports and life in the nation's capital. Hosted by Washington Post Express columnist Rick Snyder and sports fan Matt, the 1 hour show also talks about beer, pizza, movies, and the sights of our nation's capital. Come listen to Seasons of Discontent.